Hello and welcome everyone to the Break Time Podcast. Here we just kind of chill and talk about whatever interests us. We'll start somewhere and see where it takes us, but I have a topic maybe today, so we'll get to that, probably. I'm Ryan. I'm hosting again, because I hijacked the podcast from these two lovely fellows, who I am joined by. They're my good friends, my
Hell yeah.
very good friends, Jake and Eric.
Hi.
Hi, Itza.
Hi.
Hey, what's up?
Hey.
You maybe have a topic. You hijacked the episode for this topic.
I did have a topic. This is premeditated. This is first degree topic having.
That's brilliant. That's even better than my topic I just thought of right now, where I noticed in my bowl of M&Ms next to me I have 7 orange ones.
That's a lot of orange. I always thought that orange ones are no. I don't never.
Are orange
really
M&Ms the
think that-
rarest M&M?
For some reason, it's either the orange ones or the brown ones that are the rarest. For some reason,
Like,
that's my opinion.
You know, I actually
Like-
do, out of all the colors, I have the least brown ones. Oh wait, no, they're tied with
Makes
red,
sense.
actually.
Huh.
Overwhelmingly, there's the most yellow.
Because like my thinking is that because people want the crazy fun colors,
Yeah.
that they purposefully put less brown M&Ms in there.
Does
So
it
that-
affect the count that they're peanut M&Ms? You
I
think
don't
there's
think
more
so.
yellow peanut M&Ms because that's like the mascot, right?
Yeah, the mascot yellow M&M is a peanut M&M. But isn't the blue one also a peanut M&M?
There's a blue M&M.
Yeah, I do.
I only know
remember.
the red, yellow, and green one.
They have one for every single color now.
Wow, I saw M&M mascots.
Yeah, hold on.
Are they all
Let's
just like
see.
circles?
They are, and actually, now that I think about it, there was a recent, I guess a recent redesign for some of the M&Ms to make them less.
Oh shoot, when M&M Strive came out, did they redesign the characters?
They redesigned the green and brown M&Ms since they're supposed to be like female, and their designs kind of were
The
very.
green M&M was just like a green M&M with giant lips and long legs. Was that pretty not okay in 2022?
green
Is
one?
that what they decided?
Well, no, let's see. In the previous design, the green M&M, she is wearing what seems to be just like Converse, and her legs are just kind of typical M&M legs. Before she was wearing like knee-high boots with like kind of high heels. I want to say like 2 inches at the very least.
Are these the redesigns?
Yeah, she was wearing, like-
you're talking about?
Interesting.
I posted something for it.
Yeah. However, the brown M&M has not been touched at all. It seems she's still like wearing. I don't know what kind of shoes you would call those actually.
High heels?
I mean, they're more flat.
They're not high heels. They're heeled shoes, but they're not
Mm.
high heels. I feel I'm a failure of a character designer. I can't even name this shoe type. What if I want to put a character?
Why
in
is
these
the
kind of
orange
shoes?
M&M just having a panic attack at all times?
Because that's
Is
his
that
personality. Yeah, that's his personality. He's just always on edge. He's always nervous.
I swear,
Everyone else is
I
calm.
feel like I've seen the red, yellow, green, and brown one, but I really feel like I'd never seen the orange and blue one until this picture you just posted. They've
blue
really just
one-
been around.
The orange one, I think, is relatively new. Because I think they use the orange one whenever they want to introduce like a new flavor of M&M, and so it's like him on an operating table and him just being terrified because they're gonna put some new substance inside him.
That's horrible.
Yeah, he was the one. I remember the commercials featuring the orange M&M being the ones with like the caramel M&Ms and the pretzel M&Ms, and they're just shoving caramel and pretzels inside him, and he's just terrified for his life.
Wacky, man.
Yeah. M&Ms are great. M&M commercials are wonderful. They're so funny.
I don't think I've actually seen a regular M&M commercial. The only ones I've ever seen are in movie theaters at AMC, where it's always a commercial. I think it was red and green. They're like tied to a post. It looks like something out of Star Wars or something, and they're gonna be shoved down a pit. But then a phone rings in the audience and it interrupts the entire scene. So it was
Yeah.
just a whole commercial of telling you, "Hey, turn your phones off." It wasn't even about. It wasn't even about advertising.
I think that has to be like a double, like a two birds with one stone kind of commercial, because they're like, "Hey, turn off your phone," but also,
You want some
Hey,
M&Ms
huh?
while you're turning off
Huh?
your phones?
huh? you want some M&Ms? Like, oh, hey. And then they're like, I don't know, I'm currently gesturing to show you the magnificence that is my body. I'm going like, hey, except, you know, it's like, hey, eat me, I'm an M&M, instead of, hey,
Yeah, I
look,
see, I
I'm pretty cool looking, aren't I?
Yeah, hey, we
So,
still have
yeah.
a counter. Quick, buy some before the show starts, and you.
Yeah, I
can
miffed at
enjoy
like the
M&Ms.
image of someone walking into a movie theater, sitting down, going, "I'm comfortable. I didn't get any snacks," and then seeing like a commercial, like, "Oh my god, I want Coke and M&Ms." Runs back out of the theater, back into the line for the snacks.
All throughout college, actually, I don't think I went to the concessions once whenever I went to a movie theater. I think we just sat down and like, all right, it's movie time. Don't need no snacks.
Oh
Don't
yeah,
need 'em.
I mean, when I was in college, I never got any snacks because it's like you could just have the cost for your movie ticket by not getting snacks.
Oh wait, no, there was that one time where we went to go see the first Sonic the Hedgehog movie with everyone on the team before.
Oh yeah, I don't think I got anything.
I don't think I got
We did
any
not.
either.
But
Name redacted.
did sneak cookies into our good friend. God damn it!
Pronoun
I
redacted.
said their name. No.
Edit it out.
Cut all of this out. I'm gonna have to sort of censor all of this. Shoot. I said their name on podcast internet show. Yeah, well, one of our friends baked cookies for everyone and gave them to it and gave
Oh
them
yeah,
to
that was pretty
everyone on
sick.
the
I
team.
remember that.
Yeah, actually, you couldn't have one though.
No, it
'cause
was
I
still
don't think
cool,
they're. It was.
I appreciate the owner, the gesture, the pride of ownership of now I had a cookie.
Indeed, and then I think someone else had to eat it.
Yeah,
Or
that was
someone
fine.
else. Someone else graciously ate it in your stead.
Yeah, I lived vicariously through them.
Yes, you did. I'm pretty sure you held hands with whoever was eating it too.
Yeah, we were like brothers, but closer.
Yeah.
I have a confession to make. Whenever
A concession to make.
confession, not a concession.
A concession confession?
Yeah, yes, kind of.
Okay.
Whenever I would go to the movies with my parents, we would always bring our own food to the movies. We would always have like my mom has a purse, right? It's typically normal for females to have a purse. We would stuff this.
You could
purse-
just say woman, man. What's with this freaking What is with this this
Okay.
like goblin-esque
What?
females? It's so normal
Only
for
goblins
females
have
to
purses.
bring purses. Oh, those dang
No.
females.
Why are you making this to be such a big deal when it shouldn't be?
Because it's so weird to use the word female.
All right, my mom brings the purse.
You could
with
just
her
it's
to the movie.
normal for women to bring purses. It's normal to bring female. It's normal for females to bring purses.
All right, we'll pass on this. But my mom, who is a
A
woman,
female.
okay, she brings her purse, and we stuff the purse full of snacks that you would typically find in front of a movie theater. We usually, before we plan to go to the movies, we like to heat a bag of popcorn and just stuff it in the purse. And we
Jeez,
would
how big is this
steal
purse?
all of the butter that they have at the movie theaters for our own popcorn. We would bring our own snacks. Would be our own drinks. Because have you seen the prices at the movie theater?
Oh, it's like
for snacks?
$5 for a
It-
small popcorn or some shit.
It's
it is
ridiculous.
expensive.
The weird thing too is it's like, $5 for a small, $5.10 for a medium, $5.20 for a large, like doubling every single size you go up. So you feel like a buffoon if you order anything but a large, even though it's only like 1% more expensive to get like 5 times as much.
No, I get it. I get bringing your own food, but if you're gonna do it, you need to be discreet about it. Otherwise, it's gonna look weird when you're squirting butter into your mom's purse.
No, what we do is we get one of those like little cups like you would put sauce in.
Oh, you add your own cup? Yeah.
No, they usually had their own
Like a
at the
water
movie.
cup.
They had not a
Is it
mug,
like a water cup?
like a tiny condiment cup.
okay.
The movies would usually have this, and you could always just ask for it. They just give it to you. They don't really care. At least the staff
Oh, yeah.
didn't care.
Oh yeah, you don't need to feel guilty about this at all. You're the hero of this story. It was Those concessions are they're a ripoff, man.
They indeed are.
Wait, so what was the topic? We were talking
Yeah, that was
about...
pretty cool. My improv topic was better than I thought it was. So what's the actual planned topic?
Oh, yeah. Well, if you want to continue something that we kind of did last week, we want to talk about fighting games again.
Are we associated
it's
with
very
those?
on
I've
brand.
forgotten.
Yeah, we are. It's just not like we're making one or anything. But in that kind of like vein is I planned this. I wanted this to be the topic for this week because today is June 11th, 2022. It has officially been one entire year since Guilty Gear Strive came out. And I was wondering if y'all wanted to talk about Guilty Gear Strive. Because things have changed, and I know that we all have opinions on this game, because we talk about it at length. We talk about a lot of stuff at length, and this is one of those things. And I was wondering if y'all wanted to talk about it on podcast.
Counter.
Counter.
That's
Yeah.
like honestly the sound design of Strive is so good.
It is great.
And the music is so good. And it looks
It is.
super
So
sick.
good. Yeah.
But then it's like, damn, the game's alright.
Yeah, it's just kind of, it's like, 'cause I think the worst part, the most painful thing about Strive to me is that everything was going for it up until like a couple months after release. The biggest thing for me was I really wanted to like the game a lot, but it became very middling to the point of ennui as we continued to play it. And that's such it died out for me really quickly. That grace period, that honeymoon phase with a new fighting game where you're just trying to figure stuff out.
Yeah,
And-
it was. I don't know, man. When none of us knew what we were doing, it was intensely exciting and very fun. However, then some of us started knowing more and more what we were doing, and it's just like, man, is this it?
Yeah, that's what it felt like. Because like at some point, things kind of there's not a lot to sort of discover with the way that the game kind of
I
is.
remember fucking Eric was coming back every day with a
Say,
new
hey,
character.
Eric comes back. I learned a new character.
It's just like,
We're
yeah, now we're
what?
Potemkin main guys. All right,
God
but,
damn
but
it.
this week I played but today I played Milia. You know,
Yeah, he's like, I'm playing Milia, and then I remember him
actually, you stuck with
distinctly-
Milia the longest, I think.
He did. I remember distinctly, I'm never going to play May. I refuse to play May. And then, like, a couple weeks later, okay, so I
So
picked up
I'm
May.
May-
And I'm
I'm
like,
May
what
player now."
happened?
It's just
I
all...
thought you said you would never play May.
Just all the mechanics are the same. Like,
Yeah.
bottom line, every character functions the same.
Exactly.
It makes
And
it
that's
too
like,
easy to pick every character up, basically.
And that's what I think makes it pretty boring. It was great when we were playing it, but the moment that we kind of hit a plateau where nothing new was happening, we're kind of just doing the same things and going through the motions and nothing crazy new is happening, no crazy situations where this thing meets that thing, or happening as much as when we play like Exard or Plus R or something like that, because everything is very streamlined and kind of boiled down, or very linear as well.
Yeah, 'cause I remember, man, the entire lifespan of me playing Exard, I was saying I'm in the process of picking up this new character, and I never
Yeah.
succeeded.
That's the thing, is that, like, it's so much fun to go down, like, a road of, like, I'm going to go down a journey of learning and I'm going to go down a journey of learning with this character. This character is so different from every other character that I've played that I have to kind of relearn how to play the game in order
Yeah.
to play this character.
I actually remember I spent like at least a month straight learning Venom, and at the end I did not know how to play Venom. It was a
And
great
that's-
time.
I mean, that part is kind of fun when you just, like, come in and you want to learn a new character, so you just, like, pick up things. You're like, this is cool. As opposed to oh god, I'm thinking of it like a Monster of the Week show where Eric comes back with a new character.
Yes, how you guys fight this one. They almost do the same thing, but
It was
differently.
actually kind of
too.
hilarious. I mean, speaking from my point of view, it's like I felt like I was about 50-50 when playing against you, Ryan.
Mhm.
But man, when I was playing against Eric, I was like 1 for 10 and be with a different character every day, and I'm like, holy shit, he's better at all the characters than me. It was a great time, though. I got to see all the characters in Strive without needing to play too much online, so that was fun.
You got to see all one character there is
Yeah.
in Strive. I'm sure, like, with the release of DLC, I'm pretty sure the DLC characters got a lot more pizzazz and stuff into them.
Were there any, like,
You know.
big system changes? And they announced a Season 2 thing, right?
Oh, yeah, they did.
Were there big
I
system
was waiting
changes,
for
or is it just, like, balance stuff?
It's system changes and character changes, and I will get into it. And I will, like, by going into something that I like, this thing that I'm quite passionate about in like Strive, just Anji in general. I will be able to make an argument as to why I don't like Strive, and Anji has kind of just made that. Anji is kind of the reason why, or he's going to be my argument as to why Strive is just not a game for me. If people like if people who like Strive, more power to you. If you like Strive, good for you. I do not play Guilty Gear games for the kind of game that Strive is. So if I'm going to play any Guilty Gear game, I'm going to play a different Guilty Gear game. But okay, among like the system changes, I know that they created a faultless defense macro button to reduce the amount of like chance that you know.
Wait, couldn't you
hit
just like
two
hotkey any
buttons.
2 buttons?
You could, I think.
Isn't that like already the faultless defense macro?
I think it's just.
Or does it
like-
work even if you're like holding forward?
I think it's like even if you're holding forward or anything like that, it's literally like instead of it being any of the attack buttons, it's literally just this is the faultless defense button.
That's kind of weird.
I'm hoping you still have to hold back in their direction. Probably that's probably how it would work. But I don't think if like you press it while you're just standing there, I don't think it does anything. I think you have to be like holding a backwards direction in order to
If you
actually
could do it
have the button
holding
do
forward,
anything.
that's some funky option selects right there.
I hope they plan for that. But yeah, there's that. I think Roman cancels now, instead of like just dumping all of like the 50% you need to spend for the Roman cancel, now like over the course of like the what's it called, the slowdown, the freeze when you use a Roman cancel, if you cancel out of that animation, you actually get to keep whatever tension didn't drain during the course of that animation, because now there's like there's a more
So you
gradual
lose like 1
decrease.
to 2 bars basically.
Yeah,
depending
if
on
you
how
cancel
long
the
you
Roman
hold it.
cancel, if you cancel the Roman cancel, you get to keep like 10% or 20% of your meter as opposed to losing all 50.
Interesting.
Because I think that what they want to do is they want to incentivize using the Roman cancel,
Yeah.
and so they're making it like, hey, look, if you use it, you get to save meter. And you're like, who cares? Well, my idea is like, who cares? Because you're just gonna get that meter back anyway. That's how I think Strive works. So it doesn't really make it.
Don't you get like 10% meter every hit or some shit?
Something like that. The thing is that like they're trying to incent. The flaw I see with that, if they don't like really touch anything else, I'm sure that there are like other things that sort of like cascade into like a large scale change. But looking at that change in a vacuum, I don't see that being a very good incentive, considering that other things in the game think that having more tension is the good incentive for doing the thing. In addition to like, you know, Roman canceling or wall breaking to get your positive bonus to get more tension, the thing is that the game already by itself, if you use these things in tandem, it's just kind of like, okay, so you just never run out of meter. And the thing that I really like about Guilty Gear is that there's like an aspect of managing your meter well to succeed. And when the game is literally just throwing heaps and heaps of meter at you, it's kind of just like a brain dead, no question, yeah, I'm going to use my meter, I have it. I can't gain
it's
more
wild because
meter
it's
if
just
I...
like you're a guy with a reversal super. Just hitting your reversal super raw does like a third of their health. It's like, yeah, why wouldn't I just fucking click it, man?
A third of your meter, and if they're against a wall, you'll get all
And then
that
you
back
get
on the next screen.
you get more than it.
Yeah. So it's not the greatest way. I don't really agree with that being the incentive for using the Roman cancel, considering that, you know, tension is kind of like it's not really a problem in Strive. Characters gain tension so quickly that you might as well just use it the moment you have it. Is kind of like my stance on it.
Yeah, I don't know. I
Um,
mostly just want like combos to be interesting without Roman cancels. Like it's like if you use a Roman cancel, the combos become as interesting as like any other Guilty Gear game is like normally.
yeah, because well, that's because like the way that things
Because
change
there's like
and
no
stuff.
air teching, and the only like combo escape, quote unquote, is just like they're too far or a wall happened.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that kind of just I that's what I don't agree with when people were saying like, "Oh man, it's the most robust Roman cancel system ever. It's so freeing." And the thing is that it's only freeing because you literally can do it. It's like in normal Guilty Gear games, you use a Roman cancel, things get crazy. But in this game, it's like things are typically not that crazy. But then when you use a Roman cancel, you're playing what is Guilty Gear normally. Except now this is now you get to play Guilty Gear as opposed you weren't playing Guilty Gear before until you used the Roman cancel. And that it's just like I get it, they're trying to make things easier. The thing is that it's just not that interesting in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't know.
And
I don't feel like it made it that much easier. It's like
um, it's
it
like
was. I don't know, man. It just felt like you played a character, you Googled, what's my dust combo, what's my grab combo, what's my wall break combo, and what's my highest damage combo, and then you run up and close slash them and do one of those things, and you've mastered the character.
yeah, and that's essentially a close slash is the where the game starts, and it's like okay, yeah, hooray, the game is starting. Is kind of
Unless you're
what I think
Axel,
of.
then you try to do everything you can to avoid close slashing.
Yeah,
But once you
don't
close slash,
close
then it's
slash.
fine.
If what Axel doesn't offset the fact that the game wants you to close slash.
Yeah, yeah.
Because in the case of Axel, if you well, actually, I've never seen like an Axel versus Axel match. Because I'd be interested
It's
to see how
misery.
that works. It probably isn't all that interesting. It's probably like playing Guilty Gear Strive, except it's just Axel.
That's probably
And-
exactly like that.
Yeah, and so, yeah, everything like leading to close slash and things like that. It's just kind of meh because like characters don't really have a whole lot in the way of like long range options. And I don't know. Everything kind of just turns into a strike throw, close up, in fight brawl kind of thing. And it's just every single match kind of just sort of gravitates towards that. It's just not interesting to
Yeah, I don't know. It's like because in Exart I played a lot of Soul, and going into
Mhm.
Strive Soul, I agree that he's probably a relatively better character, at least when I mostly
He's-
played it, which was
me. I'm pretty
near
sure
the
he's still
beginning.
like top 5 or something.
But it's like in Exart, I really just liked the scrappiness that Soul had, and in like this new one, it really feels like Soul is like, here's my 2 neutral buttons, where it's like you don't
Yeah.
get. It's like I felt like Soul was in old Exart. It was like you could do something really zany and catch them off guard, and that was like the fun part.
And that was the thing that was kind of what I think was unique to Soul was that his thing was strike throw, but now everyone is strike throw, so it's not as interesting as
Yeah.
everyone else. And that's like another thing that I have a problem with. And Anji is the epitome of this problem because for some reason they keep trying to. I don't know what the heck they're doing with Anji.
Anji's just slowly turning into Chip.
That's not even it. It's worse than that because well, okay, if in the case of Anji, and I am a die-hard Anji fan. I love Anji. Anji and Strive, for some reason. Okay, sorry. Before the season 2 patch, Anji was like bottom 2. I don't know who would have been worse than Anji. But
I mean, it
there's
was
probably
between Anji and
someone.
Faust, right?
I don't know who the other person is. I just know that Anji was definitely like bottom 2. But in this, for some reason, in season 2, they're just really adamant about making Anji the worst character in Strive.
Oh no!
And it just enrages me so much because they
Did they
think
just
that
like
they can
make him
do-
worse?
I will get into it. They think that they can like do these things to make Anji like cool or good or have him have this unique playstyle. It only results in him having something that is essentially lukewarm and milquetoast compared to what other characters can do. But they want him to do this specific thing, and it just makes me kind of mad. So, as we kind of have said before, the game is kind of homogenized in which like high-low mix-ups have been toned down significantly, where to the point where highs are probably reactable, and then they usually lead into something else. In the case of like someone like Leo, he has a really good high, but it has startup, so I don't know, maybe you can stuff it. In the case of Anji, it is he can punish his overhead if you can react to it and block, or if you just stuff it out with a move. And there's other things that they did to it. So among the changes, there is some that are like kind of interesting, and some of them that are kind of like, why'd they do that? Anji definitely needed that other thing. So the big one, I think, is that, well, first of all, I guess Nagiha now triggers the big counter cinematic, so that you get the maximum slowdown if you hit Nagiha. Fujin has 8 frames less recovery, so now instead of being minus 16 as it has always been in every single iteration of Guilty Gear in which Fujin and Anji have existed, they've decided to make it minus 8. So now, technically, if you space it properly, Fujin should be relatively safe. And then they did things like they increased the startup on Nagiha to sort of make it harder, so it's more like I guess they're trying to make like this way where they increased the startup on Nagiha and they decreased the startup on Rin in order to kind of give you this gray area where the opponent may not know whether Anji's going to go for high or low. However, they also decided that Rin being able to ground bounce on hit is too good, and so if you hit with Rin just like normally, you get a hard knockdown. I don't even know if it's a hard knockdown. It's a soft knockdown. Wait a minute, this is awful!
Wait, wasn't that, like, the entire way that Anji did combos?
Yeah, Rin was a decent starter, and now in order to capitalize off of Rin, you need to use meter. As opposed to before, where if you just hit Rin, which is a really difficult move to hit because it's reactable, and
it's
also...
reactable and off of a Rekka.
Yeah, if you block it, Anji dies. If you see it coming and you stuff it, Anji dies. So they decided that, oh no, it was too good when he could ground bounce with it, and now so Rin can't do that anymore. You need to spend meter if you want to combo off his overhead. So, in a game, I guess there's like a bunch of other changes, I guess, too, along with that. Charged Fujin no longer launches. So there are a bunch of combo routes that are kind of just closed off to Anji, because he can no longer get, like, what is it? Like, you would do fully charged, after, like, counter hit 5H, you would do, like, a fully charged Fujin, you would hit them, they'd get launched into the air, you use this little hop thing off of Fujin, and you do, like, your string, probably, like, Ko loops or whatever it is. That's another thing. I think they made it so that the second hit of Ko, is worse or something. I think they reduced the damage on Ko.
They realized that Anji wasn't a character where you would just do close slash and then like 2 hits and then super them into the wall, and they're like, oh, that's a pretty different combo there, mate.
The thing is that he needed those things because he wasn't good to begin with. It's not like he was on a level playing field with everyone, and they just made him strictly worse. No, he was on a lower echelon than every other character, barring like one that I am unaware which one it is. And they decided that he needs to be even worse, is what I kind of see from this.
Got him.
It doesn't matter that like Fujin is now -8 or his close slash is now +2. Finally has a +2 normal, or now like Shin each shiki off of his Fujin, the fan needles, is now like +8 as opposed to +4. Those things don't matter if he still can't do like.
Now is he even like a high damage character anymore?
No, he's not. His meterless damage is like he does, at the most, if you get a wall break off of it, now he does 50%. Otherwise, he does less than that. So he has below average damage if you don't use meter. And also they just decided that how do I put this? They decided that his meterless damage was too good, so they decided to tone it down, even though he probably needed it, because that's like the only like forgiving thing about Anji is that he can get that. And then they just decided that no, that's not okay. You can't do that anymore.
Yeah, he played
I
a
think-
little bit different than the rest of the characters.
I think there was something changed about his auto guard where because of the changes where like I think punches and kicks now trigger slowdown on counter or punish. Because they trigger slowdown on counter and punish, he gets more things off of auto guard, but auto guard is still bad because there's like a massive amount of startup in which he's in a counter hit state, and also there's
Yeah, and like they
what's
just
it called?
grab him out of it.
Recovery.
If he fucks up and does it, nothing
So
he can
they're
do
trying to-
about it.
They're trying to turn him into this read-based character where once he gets a read, then he can run his game. The thing
Hot
is
take:
that his
every
game,
character can make a read.
his game isn't good, is the thing. And I don't know what the heck they think they're trying to do with all of this. Let's try to, because I'm trying to get to the point of which they're attempting to make Anji the Fujin high-low mix-up character in a game where Strike Throw is strictly better. It just like boggles my mind why they decided like he's gonna have a good mix-up game, but he doesn't get a whole lot. He's like a low damage mix-up.
That's just like
mix-up
in
character.
Anji was in Blazari. He's
It's
just
not.
like this lockdown high damage guy. Makes
Yeah.
you feel awkward if you press a button.
Like they're trying
Flake
to
and light.
retain. Honestly, what I'm trying to see here is that they're trying to retain his playstyle in a game where his playstyle isn't good anymore. And the thing is, and then also they're trying to make it so, like, oh no, if he gets in, he can't have a whole lot of damage either, because otherwise it'd be too good. Or that's what I'm kind of getting from this. And it's just like so mind-boggling and kind of enraging that that's what they decided to do with Anji. And of course, because I'm viewing this through the lens of Anji, I see like kind of like the thing why because I like Anji and I like the way that Anji has played in previous games, I see why Guilty Gear Strive as a whole is not really a game for me, because there is no
Yeah, I
because
mean the fun
character I
thing
like to
about a
play-
previous game just isn't there anymore.
Yeah. It's less about like, oh, I want to have crazy mix-ups and people will, but you can't block like a +2 mid or something like that. The thing is I don't care. I don't care if I can't block
I
a
want
+2
every
mid.
character to make me eat shit if I fuck up.
Yes. That's like the entire point of a fighting game. Eat shit if you fuck up. And they decide that like and then they decide like, okay, high-low can't be good, but we're going to make a character that centers around high-low. Like, cool. Cool, great. Yeah. And the other
Very
thing
nice.
is that everything, they're trying to route everything that Anji does through Fujin, because it's like, it's one of his 2 special moves that he has. And as opposed to having a more of a cavalcade of moves that he had in previous Guilty Gear games. And so because what they do is they route everything that he can do out of Fujin, he becomes this character that's kind of very linear.
Mm.
Where if you see Fujin, you gotta do one of these like things, or you can't, or nothing's going to happen. Like if someone sees Fujin coming, then they just have to like
It's
hold
like,
down
oh, well, I
until
will
they see
kick
something.
or I will block, and it's fine.
Yeah, and it enrages me to ever a degree, and I just don't know why they keep
Yeah, I
doing
don't know,
this.
it's like a lot of the other characters in Strive. It's like they lost their teeth, It's like
That's essentially what it was.
it's like the fun and interesting thing. It's like I feel like Milia is like, I mean, when I played, really one of the only characters that really felt like she had a somewhat reminiscent playstyle, but it's like even then it's nothing on old Milia. It's like they just tried to remove 50/50s. They tried to remove all these like it's like I don't think there's a game about the offense being whack,
Yeah.
And it's just
And
not
there
whack
is
in this
whack
game.
offense. There is whack offense, but it's not high-low like you would think. It's like some characters have like some inkling of left-right, but it's mostly strike.
Yeah, I mean,
And
I'm
when
remembering
people-
to early on when it was like Chip was considered to have devastating offense because he had a dive kick that was pretty good left right. And I'm like, sheesh.
And then they
How's this the
decided that
exciting
his-
thing?
And then they decided
Yeah,
that
and then
that
they got
dive
rid of
kick
it.
was too good, and then they made it worse. But that's They're just not allowed to make high-low good, or they're not allowed to make 50-50s high-lows or left-rights good unless you're Milia and you knock someone down.
Hmm.
Otherwise, you're not allowed to do it. And so a bunch of characters just don't play differently and don't have much of an identity anymore. And that goes against what they were trying to do with Guilty Gear Strive, in which they literally in one of their the developer's backyard. They said that they wanted to strip down the characters to the base essentials so that their identity is maintained, but like cutting out all of like the fat, I guess, the fluff and the fat. But it kind of just resulted in a game where everything's just very kind of homogenous, and I'm just not
they
a fan
cut
of
too
it
deep.
anymore.
They cut the meat too. It's just bones.
Yeah, they cut. Well, yeah, there is meat there, but it's too lean. I guess there's not enough flavor. There's no fat to flavor this meat. It's just too lean. Is I guess the analogy I'm going with.
Yeah, it's like it's just there's no stupid shit left.
I want to
Like I had a great time in Exard playing Bedman, floating around doing shenanigans, teleporting, tick throws, garbage like that. It's just like that was fun, you know?
And I guess kind of segueing into what we talked about last week, but there's been some more information on it, and it could be like the honeymoon phase, seeing this new fighting game now, and like, oh, so interesting. But I have a feeling it's taking a step in the right direction, because like Street Fighter 6, a lot of information came out about it, and it's kind of like, in a way, it's an antithesis to what Guilty Gear Strive was trying to do. In Guilty Gear Strive, they decided, like, oh, wall is, like, being in the corner is too difficult for players, and so they made the wall break to sort of remedy, like, you don't get the corner anymore. You don't get to just run pressure forever against a character who gets cornered, but you do get tension. Like, huh? But I see, like, the way that Street Fighter 6 works, and literally one of the things that, like, the developers have said is, like, yeah, corner is really, really good in this game. Like, corner is devastating. And I'm like, I like it when people sort of admit, but it's a good thing, that, like, this thing is devastating. So it's like, okay, yeah, so don't get cornered. As long as they give you the tools to get out of the corner, then you're good.
Yeah, because I mean, I remember a lot of the critique of Street Fighter V was it felt like every single game was a comeback game, and there was like so little snowballing in general. So maybe they wanted to address that, where like if you get cornered, you're relatively fucked, you know.
The way that I see it in Street Fighter 6, I guess we're talking about Street Fighter 6 now. I'm really kind of excited. I remember like last week I was like, I don't know about this game. I might not get it day one. I'm slowly inching towards maybe.
I mean, I'll give them this. It's the most excited I've really ever been about a Street Fighter game. Like straight.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, like, of course, like, over time, my hype has died down for Street Fighter V. I didn't play the game. I haven't played the game in, like, years. But, like, after Street Fighter 6 is announced and seeing a bunch of stuff about Street Fighter 6, I was kind of captivated by a lot of the stuff that was there.
Yeah, I mean,
In
at the
that
very
game-
least, I think it looks and sounds great. And that's often
Yeah.
enough for me. I'm pretty shallow.
Yeah. Such a shallow man.
Yes, that's
okay.
it.
But yeah, in Street Fighter 6, the thing is that like what the general feeling I get from it is the reason why you start losing is it's because it's your fault and nothing is going to kind of hold your hand. You have to get out of the situation yourself, and things like that. Like if you with the drive system that they have, if you overextend yourself, if you're overly defensive, you lose drive and you eventually get emptied out, and now you enter that what they call like a burnout state or something like that. So if you lose all of your drive gauge because like you were overly defensive or maybe you were overly offensive, you get punished for it because you decided to do those things, and now you are facing the consequences of your actions. As opposed to Guilty Gear Strive, oh no, you got cornered into a wall. Well, don't worry, the wall will break and it'll be reset to neutral.
Yeah.
And I mean,
There's 3 round starts every round.
Yeah, and it's just it's very much like the opposite of what Strive is, and I don't know. I'm quite interested in Street Fighter 6 now.
Yeah, because I mean, a lot of
Very,
Street
very
Fighter 5 is simplifying what 4 has, so maybe they were more or less going through the same thing like a generation earlier.
I guess like the main thing that's very interesting about this one is that there's a lot more options just available to every character that are like universal options, I guess you would call them. Because
Yeah, I
in the
haven't
case of,
looked too deeply into the mechanics, honestly.
it's very interesting. I suggest like looking into them because like looking into them and seeing them, I'm very very interested, and it's very captivating to see all of these like interesting things that you can do with this new meter mechanic that they have. Also, it kind of got me wondering like how did fighting games get like synonymous with resource management game? How did
I
that
don't know,
become a
ever
thing
since
where-
someone slapped on a meter and went, that's a nice meter.
Yeah, for some reason, meter. I don't understand why like a meter mechanic has become like something that a fighting game has to have. And
Because it's cool,
we're,
man. It's super.
we're not ones to talk. We have a meter mechanic too, and I want to say ours is pretty interesting. But like, it's like, but even then, like it was kind of like a no-brainer. Like, yeah, there needs to be a meter mechanic.
Yeah, I mean, that was basically the first step was like, alright, HP, meter, we did it, boss.
Like, what the heck? How did that even? I don't even understand how that happened. How did we get to a point where every single fighting game needs to have
It's just a
meters
staple of the
kind?
genre, man.
How and why? It's such an interesting thing to think about. Of course, there are like games like Tekken and like Virtua Fighter and various other fighting games don't have any meter at all.
Tekken doesn't
they're-
have a meter. I've actually
does
never
not.
played Tekken.
Unless you're playing like Akuma in Tekken from KOF. You know Eric, right? You know Akuma from KOF.
Oh, Heihachi?
Yeah,
That guy.
Kazuya Mishima from Smash.
All of the above.
He has Akuma in Tekken has like a meter mechanic, because he's like essentially like a Street Fighter 4
Yeah, he got
character
put in
ported
here. He
into
didn't
Tekken.
forget the ways of the meter.
Yeah, he still has like an EX meter and he has like super combos and such. But like for the most part, the only thing that you get is like once you hit a certain health threshold, you get rage, and rage can be used once
He's angry.
to do like either your rage art, which is like your cinematic super, or like a rage drive, which is usually just like a crazy good move that you get to do once per round if you get to that low point. And so I wouldn't really consider that a meter mechanic, considering it's like there's no management of it. It's literally like when will
Yeah, you
you
just
use
use
it, if you can use it.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it does say something for how prevalent it is, because I just assumed it was in Tekken. I literally had no idea.
Yeah. No, Tekken does not have any sort of meter thing unless you pick like a very specific character, like Akuma. But it's just that is a very odd thing. But like even with that, like the way that like the drive mechanic kind of works is that there's a lot more options and there's a lot more like I guess robustness and freedom to it than there is with previous like new gauge mechanics in previous Street Fighter games. There's always like a super combo meter kind of thing in every Street Fighter game since 3. But because in 2, I would argue that like the super combo meter in there was literally like wait for it to build up, and once you have it, you can do a super, as opposed to the sort of management there is in 3 and Alpha and 4 and 5. To a certain extent, there's like you use it to either do your for in the case of
Yeah,
like,
it becomes
5,
really interesting when there's a choice of what you use your meter on. And again,
Yeah.
that was one thing that I thought Exard was really good at. Was
Yeah.
how many different things used up the meter. It was just like barrier, you had that like block, was it assault drive or something?
Blitz Shield.
Blitz shield.
Yeah,
You had your supers, of course, all your Romans. There's one other thing I think that used or interacted with the meter, but it's just like that was the whole game, you know.
yeah, and it's simple, and that was why I thought Exard is a really interesting game, was because you have all these options that are tied to one meter. Now, it's up to you to use them, and will it result in your downfall, or will it get you to win the round?
Hmm.
And it's definitely something I feel with like Street Fighter 6's meter currently versus other like 5 even. Because in 5, I mean, up until the end, I wasn't playing when they introduced the new thing. But for the longest time, what it was like a meter, and it fills up whenever you take damage, and it also fills up if you use your V skill properly. So essentially, what it is that instead of having a bunch of universal mechanics, each character had a very specific thing that they could do called a V skill, and that was like their way of building the V meter. but it ended up kind of not mattering at all because you just get to low health and now you have the meter and it doesn't really matter that you used your V skill. And so that was kind of like your only option, was use your V skill to gain the meter on this the V trigger meter, and there's like a couple things you can do with it. There's the V reversal, which is like your guard cancel, and then there's like your V trigger. And I think those were the only things you could do for the longest time. Was you either use one bar for a V reversal, which is your guard cancel, or you use the entire thing to activate your V trigger. And those were kind of the only things. So for the most part, it was quite a linear kind of meter mechanic. And then it kind of got a bit more interesting when they introduced V-Shift closer to the end of the lifespan of the game, in which you spend one bar in order to do like a shift sway backwards, and if someone hits into it, it triggers. If someone hits into it, it triggers like a slowdown effect.
So it's like V counter, I guess.
It's called V-Shift.
Ah.
Yeah, so you do like a sway back, and if they hit into it, it enters like a slowdown, and then you're allowed to do a follow-up attack if it hits, and if it's successful, you get half of the meter you spent back.
Ah, so you're saying everyone
can
be as cool as Slayer?
Kind of. But the thing is that when you do it with Slayer, it's much faster, and then you're like, wait, what happened?
And then you pile bunker them 7 times.
Yeah, which is, in and of itself, that is an also really cool experience for someone to have, where they're like, wait, what? And then they just get hit by something. In this case, you see like, oh shit, I got hit by the V-Shift, and now I'm going to probably eat something. Which is, it's interesting. But like, it took like 4 years for that mechanic to be introduced into the game.
Yeah, I mean,
probably more.
Only Street Fighter game I played a good amount of was, Third Strike, and that was like, the meter is for supers, then you pick one.
Yeah, that is, in Street Fighter 3, the meter was not interesting, but it's like, do you use it for supers or do you use it for EX moves? And just like seeing how it works in Street Fighter 6 is immediately
it looks
more
cool.
interesting.
I mean, I saw there's like parry stuff, that looked cool.
Yeah. So like, there's a parry stance where if you're just in the stance, you just automatically parry everything that gets thrown at you. But there is recovery, and it's not throw invincible either. So that's like the caveat to using this thing. You're essentially impervious until you get thrown or you want to stop parrying something. Yeah, but there's also like, if you time it well, I think they said it's a 3-frame window, so a lot shorter than Third Strike, to get like a perfect parry, in which that is kind of more akin to an actual Third Strike parry, where it slows the opponent down and you recover quicker than them, and then you can probably punish them with something. That's one way to do it. And also, if you parry stuff using the drive, I don't know what it's called, drive parry, I'm assuming, you actually regain drive gauge. If you're in the parry stance, it drains your drive gauge, but every single time you parry a move, you get some of your drive gauge back.
So you can use it a lot if you're good at using it.
You can. If you're good, that's a way to like get it back, is like, that's the cool thing, is that like it comes back over time very slowly, but if you want to get more back to do more cool stuff with, parry some stuff. Like, show that you're reading them by blocking all of their attacks.
Be the cool guy you always knew you could be.
Yeah, and there's like things like if you guard against moves, your drive goes down. I think if you get damage to if you get hit by stuff, it also goes down.
Oh, so then the parry is also there to like mitigate how much you're blocking, so you can kind of retain your drive gauge.
Yeah, I think it's frame 1 too.
I mean, blocking is also frame 1.
It is. So yeah, it is definitely like a decision or a read. Excuse me. Or you have to, like, know they're not going to throw you. You kind of have to know
actually, that is
coming.
pretty interesting, too, because that's kind of like a fun alternative to, like, meter block. Is the easier to use parry.
Yeah, you're impervious, but there are some caveats to it. Then with that, there's also, like, the drive rush, which I think is just, like, a dash forward. I don't remember what it is, but it's like something that sort of like puts you on the offensive. You dash forward and you do something. There's the drive impact, which is like a Street Fighter 4 focus attack, but it costs something. It has 3 hits of armor, and if they hit into it, it does you get like a bigger hit off of it to do more stuff afterwards. I don't remember how much that costs. Drive Rush, Drive
There's still only
Impact.
1 meter, right? Street Fighter.
It is still just 1 meter. It's like a 6 segment.
Well, there's also
bar.
the drive meter, I guess. There's the drive meter and your meter.
Yeah, there's drive gauge, and I think the other one is like your super meter. So they're separate. If anything, if I was to design this game, I would make it all just revolve around 1 meter.
It's all the same bar.
Just to see how chaotic things could get. But and I think there's like one more thing that I'm missing. Drive gauge, drive parry, drive rush, drive impact. It feels like there's one more thing that I don't exactly. Oh, EX moves. EX moves are also bound to the drive gauge, not your super meter.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, so then you can be wildly offensive with them, but then you might eat shit.
Yes. And there's also like another thing where technically the drive impacts are like they do like a guard break if you try to block it. So I think if it hits it all and the opponent doesn't,
everyone gets a Fafnir?
Essentially, because if you don't parry it, then you just get blown back. And if you're in the corner, even if you block the drive impact, you get wall splat.
Oh yeah, full guard break. Combo on block. Feels good, man.
Yeah. So that's a very interesting thing where like
That's very not Street Fighter.
it's very interesting though, because it's the opposite of Guilty Gear Strive, as I was saying, where they try to tone down the wall, but what if you made it so that the wall is bananas, but they deserve it? But if they get into the wall, they deserve it, is kind of what I'm getting at here.
Yeah.
Is that, and that's so much more interesting. I don't like this whole, like, no, things can't, nothing, in a game where they tone down everything so that everything is equally good or bad, then you have a boring game. Because there's no sense of dread when you're in a situation. Like, oh no, they're gonna break the wall and I'm gonna take damage, oh no. As opposed to like, oh crap, I am stuck in this corner and they're bouncing me off of it.
They're making me die.
Which is immediately more interesting. And the thing is that like it could also blow up in your face. If you go too offensive and you use all your meter, just
Yeah, and then they parry your hit, and it's like, well, fuck, man.
And now you don't have meter anymore, and now you're gonna eat it. It's so good.
It's pretty cool, yeah.
But we haven't played the game yet. People apparently have been like going to Summer Game Fest and playing demos of it. I'm jealous because we're not there right now. But
You already know you're gonna be a Jamie main.
Jamie is really cool. I saw a lot of stuff about Jamie, and he is also Hong Kong represent. Well, this podcast isn't going to be valid in China anymore, but who cares? Yeah. I think currently, I really like the way that Jamie looks, and the way that it seems that Chun-Li is working out. I might want to actually try to play Chun-Li.
Mm-hmm.
However, there are some gripes that I have with Street Fighter 6 currently, and I'm not a fan of why this is, but they decided I guess it has also something to do with like legacy. But when for some of the moves, when they're the English dub sounds pretty good. It sounds better than I think, in my opinion, it sounds better than it has in
Yeah,
any
I mean,
other
I
previous
heard
Street
some of
Fighter
the
game.
voice lines and stuff. I had no problem with that.
Yeah. However, and I knew this was going to be a problem, was that they're changing, like, long-standing moves. They're changing the names that they have in the English localization of these games. Because when when Chun-Li does the Hyakuretsukyuk, her lightning legs,
Yeah.
the voice actor, Chun-Li or the voice actor, both, Porque no los dos, she says lightning kicks.
Lightning kicks.
She does it and she says lightning kicks, and I'm like, oh no,
Lightning
there's
kicks.
it's missing the impact now. It's she calls it lightning kicks. It's too close to the actual like colloquial name that people have like been calling it. Cause like everyone calls Hyakuretsukyuk lightning legs, but that's more like a colloquial, like informal term. But if you're gonna go into it, you're gonna say Hyakuretsukyuk. Like Hyakuretsukyuk she's been saying Hyakuretsukyuk
It's been that way for
since
fucking
she's had
20
a
years,
voice.
man.
Yeah, so why would you change something like that? Same thing with like Tensho kicks. With Tensho kicks, it's originally called Tenshokyaku, but they decided to call it Tensho kicks now. And I'm like, why? but these moves have existed and they've been called something else. Why would you change it just so that people can understand
The
it?
poor,
Like,
sad English-speaking audience cannot comprehend other
problem-
languages.
I would agree, I would say that the Tensho kicks naming is worse than the lightning kicks. Like
Yeah, they didn't even choose
renaming-
the language.
like renaming Hyakutetsukyaku to lightning kicks, totally fine. You understand what it means. Tensho kicks tells you nothing if you don't know Japanese.
All I know is it's a kick, man.
It's a kick and it's got Tensho, you know?
Yeah, there's
It's
10, and it shows you what for. There's 10 kicks. It shows you what for.
There's so much Tensho in these kicks, dude.
My God, the Tensho.
The amount of Tensho in this is it's immaculate.
It's pretty creepy, Ryan.
I don't like that one just doesn't make any sense at all. Like, why would you like half-ass it? And in that case, why not just call it Tensho kick? If you were gonna call it Tensho kicks, call it Tensho kyaku. Or if you're gonna go for an fully English like pronunciation, go for like, I don't know, Heaven Rising kicks or Heaven kicks. You
Heaven
could just call
kicks.
them Heaven kicks.
There you go.
Heaven
Heaven
Rising
kicks,
kicks, Heaven Rending kicks. You usually, like, I don't know which kanji they use for the show in that. I'm assuming it's either rising or rending, because those are the two that move would kind of invoke. It's like either
Big
either
up
heaven rending,
kick.
big up. But it's either heaven rising because she rises into the air, or they're heaven rending because she's kicking so powerfully that,
That
she
it
literally
rends,
cuts
you
the
know,
sky in
flesh and
half.
Stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be like those are cool. Like heaven rending kicks, like you could literally just call it the heaven kick, and I would have been fine with it. But this half-ass
That's a
like
Tensho kick.
Tensho kick, lightning
Yeah.
kick, spinning bird kick was always spinning bird kick though, so that one's fine. And I guess that's kind of is like confusing as to why Chun-Li has moves that are partially in Japanese and some of them are in English in the first place. But like choose one then. Don't just try to like do the put my finger in multiple pies kind of thing. I don't even know how you do that because if your finger is in one pie, how do you put that same finger in another pie?
With vigor.
You stack all the pies on top of each
Mm.
other and you just drill through them with your finger.
Yeah, that's the Tensho poke.
But and then like Kikoken is completely unchanged. She still says Kikoken. She says
It's weird
Kikoken,
because that's
she's-
like, in my mind, less iconic.
yeah. Like she says Kikoken still. She says
Is there just like a
Kikosho.
syllable limit of it's like you're allowed 3 Japanese syllables?
I don't know. I don't know what's happening here because like I honestly don't know. And now I'm dreading that because Ken is American, we're gonna get like the return of the lines that he had in Street Fighter, the movie, the game. Where because Ken is American and doesn't know that Japanese weeb trash, that he says all his names in English now. Because in that game he called it like Fireball or
Yeah, it's just a fireball, man.
and when he does a Shoryuken, he just screams dragon.
Yeah, I mean, he learned it from his friend Ryu, and then he immediately translated it because he couldn't stand the thought of Japanese name.
Because that's what I'm dreading. Because like Ruben Langdon, who I'm assuming is still going to voice Ken. If they get anyone else, I'm gonna be mad. Because Ruben Langdon has kind of made his identity. I play all the red characters that Capcom has.
Ken's not
But-
red anymore.
He's got some, and he will always be associated with the color red forever. But if they have Ruben Langdon, who might I add is fluent in Japanese, and they have him saying Dragon Fist and Hurricane Kick and Fireball,
Nah, just say dragon.
I don't want him to do that because like the other thing is that he's supposed to know the moves and he learned from
No,
Goken,
see,
so
it'll
why
be
would he call it
called-
something else?
Hadoken fireball.
Fireball, Hurricane Kick, Hurricane, Dragon, Hurricane, Dragon.
Yeah, I'll say it in those exact tones.
I mean, the other thing is that Street Fighter the movie, the game was kind of a shit show, but it was like a Kusoge that was kind of fun. Because I guess if I want to go into old Street Fighter games, the Street Fighter the game, the movie, all the people who were in the movie, provided mocap and voices for the characters that played in the movie for the game.
So surely it was a great product.
Yeah, think of it as like Mortal Kombat, like old Mortal Kombat back when they still used digitized
Yeah, when it was
actors. Yeah. Except it's Street Fighter, and it's bad, and it's hilarious at the same time. And also, I think when there's like another version of the game that was like a basically just like Super Turbo, but with mocap, but with digitized actor sprites, which was it's like okay, it's less boring because there's less jank. Because the jank, I think, is what made Street Fighter the movie, the game, actually funny.
That was the spice.
But there's like a bunch of things out the original version of Street Fighter the movie, the game, where you put a coin in. The sound that to signify that you put a credit into the machine was.
Oh wow!
And every time
The machine really enjoyed that, huh?
Every time you put the credit into the machine, it just goes.
That's well.
Yeah. Another fun fact about Street Fighter the movie, the game, is that the person who played T-Hawk in the Street Fighter movie, when it came time for them to do the digitization actor thing for the game, his trailer was completely empty and he had just disappeared.
Oh, this is T-Hawk in it?
No.
Oh, bye.
He disappears, so T-Hawk can't be in it. 'Cause he
Damn.
felt like, I have pride, I'm gonna do more than do whatever the heck this, like, shit show is. So good on the guy who played T-Hawk in the Street Fighter movie. But Jean-Claude Van Damme was still Guile in there. There's like a bunch of stuff in that game. Every time you put in a quarter, it goes, huh? And also, if you win with the super, the opponent's life bar explodes.
Well, that should be a feature in every fighting game, actually.
And then also because like the actors, because they were required to provide voices as well for people like Ryu, who had to say the names of their moves in Japanese. I don't believe the person who played Ryu was.
He was having a bad time of it.
I remember him saying like Shoryuken or Shoryuken and Hadouken and Tatsumaki Senpuku Yaku.
He was giving it his all, okay?
And then, oh my god.
Ken?
Ken, and then you have, Ken like going, huh, whenever he does a fireball, or dragon, or hurricane.
Yeah, Ken had an easier job.
Yeah, because he's American. He's not supposed to know Japanese.
Well, obviously.
Yeah. Even though he trained with
Ryu.
Yeah, with Ryu. But hey, actually, maybe if we think about it, maybe Ryu in the movie universe doesn't know Japanese that well, and so Ken doesn't know it either. In that
I'm
world,
sure Ryu, Mr. Japan Dojo Study the Fist, knows nothing of Japan.
No, he was too busy studying the fist.
He never learned
to
language.
study the language.
Yeah, he just never learned how to speak.
Yes, that's definitely how it is. It's totally got to be it. Man, this went like a ways away from what I thought my topic would be.
We did talk about Street Fighter and Strive, so.
I mean, I guess it's kind of like it's kind of related since like Strive is 1 year old and Street Fighter 6 is the new kid on the block being all, or I guess that it's like more like a comeback. They're more like the comeback kid because they've been away for a while and now they're coming out full swinging and they're about to deck some Guilty Gear Strive in its face. At least that's how it kind of feels for me right now.
Well, we'll see. I don't know. Strive is still doing very well.
It is.
But then again, every Street Fighter game does very well too. So
it does. But then it's no longer about like, oh, look at the numbers. It's got to be a good game. It's less about that now because I fully admit that they're all good games. Street Fighter is a good game. Guilty Gear Strive, despite my grievances with it, is indeed a good game. I did have fun with it while I was learning, but then I'm like, I hit a plateau and now I'm not having fun anymore because the game itself isn't fun to me. And so, like, I have no doubt that these games are going to do well. It's simply like it's a question of will I enjoy it?
Yeah.
And I think that in the long run, that is much better than like everyone else is playing it. I might as well play it too.
Oh yeah, I've always kind of been on board of can I find at least one other person who plays this game? All right, that's enough for me.
Yeah. And currently, characters looking pretty spicy. Jamie is interesting because he gets more moves the more he drinks, and then there's like a point at which his little
is he a drinker character?
Huh?
He drink? I
Yeah,
didn't
he
know
drinks.
that. That's funny.
He does drink. He has a bunch of his like special moves, and he literally has a move that is dedicated to just boozing himself up.
Excellent.
And the more booze he downs, I think if he hits like 4 drinks, he enters a state in which his little Manchu Q like just explodes, and
It's
now his
crazy
hair
hair.
is really long. Yeah, and his face gets red because he's Asian. He's got the Asian glow. He's Hong Kong, and it's so.
That's
fun
pretty cool.
to-
I had no idea.
Yeah, and he becomes like a crazy character when he has 4 drinks, and it also like I think of it as it kind of playing into the current mentality that I have with Street Fighter 6, where you let Jamie drink that much, now you need to face the consequences of letting him get this drunk,
Yeah.
and so yeah, it's a very interesting thing. Currently, very very excited for Jamie. I don't care about Luke at all still.
Yeah, I mean,
think
of the
he's
4 that are, like,
And Chun-Li.
in the demo, I think Ryu is honestly my favorite.
Ryu doesn't look bad either.
I like him. He looks
honestly.
good with a beard.
Yeah. But currently, I'm gravitating towards the Jamie and Chun-Li. They're just the ones that I can't believe a Street Fighter 6 might get me to actually try to play Chun-Li.
Mission Impossible. Get Ryan to play Chun.
Oh yeah, wait, Eric, have you seen anything on Street Fighter 6? Or have you
The most
gone
I've,
down any sort of
most I've seen is just a trailer. I literally don't know anything
that trailer
about
that
it.
we watched last week?
Yes,
I see.
that's the extent of my knowledge. Once again, I don't
I
know
see.
anything about Street Fighter 6.
Well, I guess the other thing, is, we've been talking about it a bit. What do you think about the things that we have said?
It's just, I don't know, I just feel like it's not the type of game to interest me. I think I said that at the end of the last episode too, where the world of Street Fighter just doesn't interest me.
Because everyone's normal.
Yeah,
You're
everyone's
not
too
interested in
normal.
Ryu from Streets.
All these normal looking people.
They're anything but normal. They shoot fireballs from their hands.
Yeah, I did that last Sunday, buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess, yeah, Eric must have the power to shoot fire from his hands.
I'm more interested in the phantastical, insane stuff you would never see in something like Street Fighter.
I mean, yeah, I get that too. Who knows? It might be good. You might want to try it out if it's like on sale or something like that. We're not gonna like.
Oh yeah, I mean, honestly,
coerce
the
you.
biggest factor of what will make me try it is if the netcode isn't dog shit.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's definitely another big factor. That'll be the thing. That'll be the tipping point. If it's like, okay, the netcode is like good, then like yeah, that game's gonna go.
Oh yeah, I pretty much only play video games online, so it's like that's most of what matters. It's like the entire reason I'm not like primarily playing, Uni.
Yeah. Otherwise, I would have played more Under Night if the online wasn't total crap. But I guess that's a good place to end off. We did talk about a lot. So, you can watch and listen to us live every Saturday, eventually, maybe, at twitch.tv/ShatterpointGames, starting at around 3 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, but if you can't make it, no worries. New episodes go up Mondays at 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on all your favorite podcasting platforms, as well as on YouTube at youtube.com/BreakTimePodcast. Follow us on Twitter at ShatterpointGS if you want. We mentioned it a couple times, but we are like fighting game devs, and that's why we talk about fighting games, because that's like we like talking about fighting game design, stuff like that. But anyway, join us next week when we talk about whatever Jake wants to talk about, because he's
Me?
finally gonna Yeah, because it's been like a hot minute, because I hijacked this episode, and it's kind of been a while. So
Yeah, yeah.
I
We
think
can
it's
talk about
time
M&M's
you
for a
stepped
full
up.
episode.
That might be fun. That was like a little fun thing that we did. But until then, break time over.